Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the honorary chair of tonight's dinner, Chairman of the Interior Appropriations, Congress' newest Cardinal Congressman, Jim Moran.
Because Collins, we actually had 7-Eleven selling tickets, Marion and I, but Marion kind of knocked himself out. He had a little incident at the hotel. Just wasn't good timing, so it didn't work out. I want to say hi to Pheo, who's from Syracuse. It's really nice of Dan to be here. Sarah Rodriguez from the great state of Texas. It's not that, New York or Virginia aren't great, it's just that Texas gets offended if we don't describe it as the great state of Texas. But Sarah, it's great to see you here. And before I introduce my friend Patrick, let me just say a word about why I'm here. We're only 4.5% of the world's population, but in over 95% of the world's population, which is just as likely to have pheochromocytoma or paraganglioma, they don't do anything about it. The governments decide, well, it's too small a portion of the population, forget it. The people who are diagnosed see it as a verdict. Where is that young woman with her daughter that drove all the way up from the south? Is she here? I know she's here. I want you to walk up. I'm not going to ask you to say it. Just walk up. Well, can you see? Can you see them in the audience? How wonderful and beautiful, sweet they are. Okay, I want you to come up on stage, but if she won't, that's okay. Okay, now, I'm not going to ask them to say it. I think just standing here is a statement in itself. Two of the three members of this family have Pheo. And they're pretty neat people. Now, this is why we're here. It's only two people, and there's a greater concentration in this room than you would find in any other room of people with Pheo. So, in most societies, as wonderful as they are, they don't count enough to make the measures possible to change their lives, because it's almost kind of an orphan disease, and it's not a large enough number to create any kind of political movement. And so in most countries it's just considered to be kind of a burden. And yet there's something about this country, and when appropriate, I can be critical, but there is something unique. I guess de Tocqueville recognized it, and I'm paraphrasing, but he said, there's something about these Americans. Anything they envision, they think they can achieve. Something that seems imponderable, something that seems incurable. No, it's not. We'll do what it takes, because every life counts. And Pheo is one of these diseases that falls into that category that kind of only in America would people get together and decide this is worth it. and where you would find a group of people like this that are willing to be so generous, to make an enormous difference, to make sure that all these wonderful families are able to find a cure and to provide the kind of happiness and quality of life that they deserve. So that you don't have to continue to stand. Now that's what this is about. Thank you. You didn't need to do that. I was going to just grab the little pencil. That's it. But now I'm not sure why the Irish thing. It worked with some of you. I mean, it gets the ambassador and his lovely wife, Mr. and Mrs. Collins here. That was terrific. Tom and Carol Wheeler, and I'm giving them a special shout out because Tom was at the Nationals game watching Strasburg pitch. It was scoreless. He watched his ERA drop to 1.6, and Carol comes up and drags him out saying, "This is an Irish event, you gotta be there." Now, it also got some miscreants. I mean, that's my word. For example, the president and CEO of one of the most prestigious, most effective, important defense firms in the country. There are a lot of defense firms, and we work with them. We're very proud of all that they do for this country's security. But there's a corporation called Mantech that's run by George Peterson. Now, George is not Irish. He's here because he's not Irish. George is a direct descendant of Eric the Red. I don't know if you remember who Eric the Red was, Doctor. I mean, you're a Czech, so. But us Irish are a little sensitive about it. More sensitive than you would be if you were Czech. It is because of George's direct ancestor, his great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather, that most of the lads and lasses in Ireland, many have red hair and pale skin. It's not natural. It's because of what George's ancestors did when they invaded the country. Now, I'm not going to go into all the gory details, but George is forever trying to make atonement, and he needs to understand that just going to every Irish theme that comes up is not sufficient atonement. Those were our great-great-great-great-great-great-grandmothers, George. So whatever you do, they were our grandmother. Anyways, so George is here, and of course he's with his beautiful Irish wife. They just can't resist, those Vikings. So anyways, George is here. But we got a lot of folks, and I want to thank all of you for being so generous, and many friends that gave. And it's not like many of these diseases, prostate cancer and colon cancer. My son-in-law Ben Baslow was worse for the Colon Cancer Coalition. That's the second largest prostate, breast cancer, and so on. A lot of things that get, large mobilization. But this says a whole lot about who we are as a society, doesn't it? And that's why we're here. And we know we can make an amazing difference. And it happens that people such as Dr. Potsak from the Czech Republic, but I want to particularly recognize Karen Adams, who's the program director. She's absolutely dedicated, and so she's going to make an enormous difference in people's lives. And now, that's the segue that I want to use to introduce, well, the reason I'm here, which is to introduce my good friend Patrick Kennedy. That's what Patrick is about, making a difference in other people's lives. I was listening to Patrick, and I know Cyril and Dan will agree with me. When he gets on the floor, people listen. Sometimes he screams, sometimes he doesn't, he's not the refined, like you see in the English Parliament, and sometimes, he just gets up and tells it like it is, because he leads with his heart. He's all about passion and empathy and commitment and public service. And whether it's, urban gun control that he cares a great deal about in our cities, or the autoimmune disease, or he's got so many issues, particularly in the area of healthcare, and especially mental health. I don't know that we would have had parity in the healthcare reform bill if it had not been for Patrick's insistence. He would talk about the bill, and then she would look at Patrick and she says, and we have parity for mental health. So that we will reimburse, we will treat mental health as important as physical health, which it is. It's made to happen. I don't think it would have happened, because it's expensive, and it took a whole mindset. It wouldn't have happened to have nothing for Patrick Kennedy. But I was listening to Patrick one time on the floor, and I jotted down some notes and sent a note to his father. And the bottom line was, this is someone who is making a difference, and you have every reason to be so proud of this man. He cares, he empathizes, particularly with people who are sick or needy or have been marginalized in any way. He extends himself, and he does it genuinely, because it all comes from the heart. So, there's some pages of stuff that talks about what he has achieved in his public life. I mean, he was elected to the Rhode Island House of Representatives at 21 years old. I know him as a good and close friend, and someone who I greatly admire, and someone who has made an enormous difference in his life. So now we will be graced by having our good friend and a terrific public servant, Congressman Pheo.